Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello friends, welcome to Studio Classroom on the air. This is the place to come when you want to have some fun. My name is Rebecca, and today your English will improve.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Studio Classroom is
Please stand by.
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello friends, welcome to Studio Classroom on the air. This is the place to come when you want to have some fun. My name is Rebecca, and today your English will improve. I love listening to music. Whenever I go out walking or running, I like to listen to music on my phone. It's a great way to help the time go by faster. How do you enjoy listening to music? Do you like to use Spotify? Or do you use something else to stream music? Yesterday we started learning about Spotify. Well, we have more to learn about this streaming platform in a lesson called Streaming Music. Now, I'm sure most of you enjoy listening to all different types of music. When do you enjoy listening to music? That is a question for you to think about. But right now, I want you to open up your magazines because we need to discuss streaming music. Let's go.
Streaming music. Streaming music over the internet requires a lot of data. This means that if a user has a slow connection, their music might pause, skip ahead, or stop completely. In order to solve this problem, Spotify uses a variety of methods to avoid overworking their servers. It stores some information on the user's computer, and it sometimes sends songs from the computers of other users rather than from a central server. There are some disadvantages to music streaming services. For one thing, people are only renting music, not buying it. This means if they stop their subscription to the service, they lose access to the music.
Hello everyone, welcome to Language Lab. I'm Jack. 我们今天要先来看 server 这个字。server 是一个名词，在文章里 server 的意思是伺服器。譬如说 Since everyone in the office is complaining about the computers, we're guessing there might be something wrong with the server. 既然办公室里所有的人都在抱怨电脑怪怪的，我们在猜也许是伺服器出了问题。Server 也有餐厅服务员的意思，譬如说 The server showed us the menu and asked if we wanted anything to drink. 餐厅服务员让我们看一下菜单，并且问我们想喝什么。我们也可以用 server 来指餐桌上用来上菜的器具，譬如说 The bride received a lovely set of silver servers from her grandmother as a wedding present. 新娘子的祖母送她一套漂亮的纯银器皿当做结婚礼物。接下来我们要看的字是 disadvantage。在文章里 disadvantage 是一个名词，意思是不利因素。譬如说 There are a few disadvantages to Emmy's new job.But she's willing to try it out for a year. Amy 的新工作虽然有一些对她不利的地方，但她还是愿意用1年的时间来试试看。Disadvantage 也指处在不利的状况下。譬如说 The team was at a disadvantage when their star player was barred from playing. 那支球队因为他们的明星球员被禁止出赛而处于劣势。我们也可以用 disadvantage 来指损失、名誉方面的或是金钱方面的。例如 We had hoped the new plan would improve our business, but it actually worked to our disadvantage. 我们当初寄望新的计划会让生意变好，但事实上却造成我们的损失。
Thank you very much, Jack. And friends, we're going to continue learning about streaming music today. My name is Gabe.
Well, let's get right into our lesson. Streaming music over the internet requires a lot of data. This means that if a user has a slow connection, their music might pause, skip ahead, or stop completely, and that is just annoying.
Yes, it is. Rebecca, when she was talking about CDs and how if there's a scratch, the song might skip a little bit, that means something a little different than the way the word skip is used in our lesson today. Here we're talking about how a song might skip ahead. That means it goes to another song completely, okay? It jumps to another song. And at the beginning of the sentence, it's talking about if a user has a slow connection. So this is referring to the connection speed. We might talk about the connection speed of something.
And we read, in order to solve this problem, Spotify uses a variety of methods to avoid overworking their servers. And we would like to take a look at this word to overwork. This just means that something or someone works too hard or for too long that it actually can cause problems.
That's right. So you could say, I'm overworked. That means I have a lot of stress and pressure because there are so many things I need to do, especially when it comes to working at the office. Okay, I'm overworked. Do you ever feel overworked? And of course, people can feel overworked. This is different from working overtime. If you're working overtime sometime during the week, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are overworked.
Exactly. Well, we read it stores some information on the user's computer. And we want to take a look at this word store. Store as used as a verb. This just means that you put or you keep something somewhere to use either for the future or just to protect it from something else.
Yeah, and we're talking about technology here in our lesson. You can store information on your computer. You can store some files on your little USB. You can store some files on an external hard drive if you don't have enough storage space on your computer. So there's that noun storage, right? You have storage space on your computer. Some people need more storage space to store things. So we read, it stores some information on the user's computer, and it sometimes sends songs from the computers of other users rather than from a central server.
Exactly. Well, we read, there are some disadvantages to music streaming services. For one thing, people are only renting music, not buying it. I would say that's probably one of the biggest disadvantages because you are spending this money for a subscription, but the music doesn't actually belong to you.
Right, so how can it belong to you? Well, you remember things like iTunes, right? When iTunes first came out, of course, you can buy music and then put it on your iPod at the time, now your iPhone, and it can be yours always to listen to whenever you want. But streaming music is not like that, right? So you don't have it all the time. We read, this means if they stop their subscription to the service, they lose access to the music.
That's right, and that can be very unfortunate for people who love listening to music. We would like to take a look at this phrase, access to something. This just means that you're able to use or you're able to get to something.
That's right, and this word can also be a verb. You can access something. For example, I can't access some of these files. I need someone to help me with my computer, right? So I can access some files. But our lesson says if you stop your subscription to something like Spotify, that means you lose access to a lot of songs. I do want to say, while I had that subscription to Spotify, when I was part of my friend's family plan, it was a great thing. And I think that Spotify has a really great service. It's really convenient, and you can listen to an infinite number of songs.
And I guess the nice thing is when you're renting the music, you can listen to lots of different types of songs without actually having to buy the music, because perhaps you don't like the music, so why should you buy it?
Exactly. Well, there are other pros and cons we're going to talk about later. But right now it's time for us to see what we can learn in today's
Info Cloud.
Hello friends, welcome to InfoCloud. Guess what, Anne-Marie? My music group will be live streaming our concerts on YouTube. It's something new we want to try.
That's great! Your friends and fans around the world can watch your performances from the comfort of their own homes.
Yes, they will not have to travel to our concert venues, which can only hold so many people.
Live streaming is really a great idea. Let's talk more about it.
To live stream is to broadcast or stream an event on the internet while it's happening. Live streaming has become very popular on social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Yes. By the way, live stream is both a verb and a noun. When used as a noun, it is referring to a live broadcast of an event. As a verb, it's referring to the action of broadcasting the event.
Hey, are you planning to watch my live streams?
Of course. Send me the web link and exact times. I'll make sure to watch your live streams from the comfort of my sofa.
拜网络科技所赐，现在有越来越多人可以在网络上看各式各样的直播节目，英文就叫做 live stream。跟传统电视的 live broadcast 现场直播不一样的是 ，live stream 其实是现场即时的串流直播。live 现场即时 ，stream 就是在网络上串流。live stream 可以当作名词，也可以当作动词使用，像是 We are live streaming our concert tonight。我们今天晚上的音乐会即将会有网络现场直播。或是 Make sure to watch the live stream tonight。记得要看今天晚上的网络直播。这就是今天的 InfoCloud， 我们下次云端见。
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello friends, welcome back to Studio Classroom, where we are discussing or learning about streaming music. Now we learned that Spotify is a great platform to use for streaming music. However, there are some disadvantages. And one of the disadvantages is when you use Spotify, you're really just renting the music. So if you stop your subscription, you'll no longer have access to the music. Well, friends, we have more to learn about streaming music, so let's get back to our lesson.
Streaming music. Also, artists generally don't earn much money from streaming services. If users want to support their favorite artist financially, they're better off just buying an album. On the other hand, streaming makes it easier to discover new music and enjoy a wide variety of songs. Streaming is convenient and inexpensive, and it offers a huge selection of songs to listen to. It is likely to grow more popular and may even develop new services for users to enjoy.
好，我们来看下一个字吧。Financially。Financially 是一个副词，意思是跟金钱有关的，或是跟财务方面有关的。譬如说 Rumor has it that the famous movie star isn't doing well financially. 听人家说那位电影明星的财务状况出了问题，或是 The student had a job in the evening, so he could help his family financially. 那位学生晚上打工来帮助他家里的经济状况。还有一句 The company is doing very well financially and is seeking to expand. 那这公司的财务状况非常好，并且在盘算要如何扩张。最后我们要看的字是形容词 inexpensive。在文章里 inexpensive 的意思是不贵或是很便宜。譬如说 I highly recommend you visit the art museum. The entrance fee is inexpensive. 我极力的推荐你去参观美术馆，门票一点也不贵。我们也可以用 inexpensive 来指花费不用很多。譬如说 Mr. and Mrs. Henderson have 5 children and are always looking for inexpensive ways to go on vacation. Henderson 夫妇有5个孩子，他们老是在找不用花很多钱的旅游方法。或是 Joan's proposal was accepted because it was inexpensive and within the budget. Joan 的提案被接受，因为不用花很多钱，而且在预算的范围内。All right, let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you so much, Jack. That was so inexpensive. It was free.
Nice, Rebecca. That sounds like something I would say.
Exactly.
All right, well, let's talk about this next section here. It starts with the word also. Actually, we're in the middle of this paragraph, right? And earlier you saw the phrase for one thing. Now that's one phrase we didn't really talk about earlier. That means you use that phrase to share one example of something, and you often would follow it later by saying for another thing, but you don't have to. You can just use a word like also. So also, and what does our lesson say?
Artists generally don't earn much money from streaming services. So we were talking about how if you stop your subscription, you lose access to all that music. Also, another disadvantage to streaming music is artists don't usually make a lot of money, and that can be a problem.
Yeah, especially for their fans, right? If users want to support their favorite artist financially, they're better off just buying an album. So you can buy a CD, or even these days records are coming back, right? So you can actually buy a record of your favorite artist's album. So the idea here is if you really are a diehard fan of somebody, don't just listen to their music on Spotify or another streaming service. No, go out and buy their music.
That's right, and we would like to take a look at this phrase, better off. This just means that you're in a better situation than before, usually after something happens.
You know, I have a Switch, a Nintendo Switch, and Rebecca has played Switch with me and a couple of other friends before.
Oh, yes.
It's pretty fun, but I gotta say, I've gone to several stores to try to find certain games that I want for my Nintendo Switch, and I can't find them. The stores are not selling them anymore. I figured out that I'm better off buying those games online. So that's just one example of how to use the phrase better off, right? You're better off doing this, not that.
Exactly. Great example, Gabe.
Yeah.
We continue. On the other hand, streaming makes it easier to discover new music and enjoy a wide variety of songs. Now, we would like to take a look at this phrase, on the other hand. You can use this when you want to present the other side of something. So we just saw one disadvantage of streaming music, but now we're seeing an advantage to streaming music.
So, whenever you need to weigh the pros and cons, the advantages and disadvantages of something, you can use this phrase. You can actually use a related phrase that's not in our lesson. You usually start out with on one hand, and then you say on the other hand, right? And actually, there's a very famous scene, or a couple of famous scenes in the movie or the play, Fiddler on the Roof. Friends, you can look this up on YouTube. Fiddler on the Roof, and then also type in on the other hand. a very important character in that story is trying to make a decision about something. So he often says, on the one hand, and but on the other hand. It's quite humorous. Check it out.
Well, we continue here. Streaming is convenient and inexpensive, and it offers a huge selections of songs to listen to. And perhaps after you spend a lot of time listening to certain songs, you might think, I want to buy those songs because I really like them.
That's right. And of course, you just learned in the language lab that inexpensive means cheap or not expensive. I actually like the word inexpensive more than the word cheap because often cheap doesn't only communicate that you don't have to pay a lot of money, but it might communicate that the quality is not very good. However, inexpensive usually just refers to the idea that it's not expensive. You don't have to pay a lot of money, but it still could be good quality.
That's right. And sometimes you might hear someone say, oh, that person is very cheap.
Yeah.
And if that person is very cheap, that usually means he doesn't like to spend a lot of money and he's looking for the cheapest things to buy.
Right, 他很小气, right? He's very cheap. However, we would never use the word inexpensive to refer to a person. No, just things, okay? So that person is cheap. Oh, but I like this. It's inexpensive, okay? But we read how it offers a huge selection of songs to listen to. A selection of something means you have a lot of things to choose from.
Exactly. Well, we read here, it is likely to grow more popular and may even develop new services for users to enjoy. So if you enjoy streaming music, keep your eyes open. You may be interested in these new services that are developed.
Now we learned about some of the pros and cons, some of the issues that you might have when you have a streaming service. An issue is one of those words we talked about yesterday. Let's see how the word issue is used in a skit.
May I help you?
Well, yes, I'm interested in buying this car.
Ah, well, it's a fine car. It really is.
Oh, so tell me, does it have any issues?
What do you mean, issues?
Does it have any problems? Is anything wrong with it?
Well, it has a few small issues.
Oh, like what?
Well, it has a bad battery.
Oh, I can get a new battery. That's a small issue.
And the tires are old. They need to be replaced.
Oh, well, okay, that's not a big issue. Not a big problem.
Yeah, and it does have some rust and a few dents.
Oh, those are issues. Repairing those will be an additional expense.
That's right, but most used cars have a few issues.
Well, that's true. And it will still get me where I want to go, right?
Well, no. This car doesn't have an engine.
What? Now that's a big issue. No, thank you.
But it's a lovely car. I'll give you a good deal.
I don't want the car. Price is not the issue.
Well, if price is not the issue, how about this truck? Huh? Just twice the price.
Well, that was a fun skit. Now you know how to use that word issue. Isn't learning English so much fun? Well, some of the other words that you learned today include on the other hand, well, that's a phrase, and better off. Well, friends, I encourage you to practice speaking English at least 10 minutes every day, and I know your English will improve. Thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next time right here on Studio Classroom.
A friend endures at all times. A good friend lasts a lifetime. I am so proud to have you in my life. A good friend lasts a lifetime.